Hi, how are you? How's everybody? Braving the cold, right? We're such sissies. A little cold weather, we stay home, go on Zoom. So congratulations, Zoom, not an insult. Okay, welcome to. Anybody new tonight? I don't think so, right? Okay, so tonight we have Brother Eric, and the theme of the month is living with gratitude. And Brother Eric's going to talk about being firmly thankful, not just thankful, but firmly thankful. And he always surprises me with whatever he comes up with. So I'm sitting back there and I'm thinking, what am I going to say, right? So I'm thinking of how I am thankful, but we all are thankful for things that are obvious, right? Like you're thankful for your health. You're thankful for, I made a whole list. I'm thankful for when people are nice to me. I'm thankful when things go my way, right? We're very grateful for that. When my wishes come true. So this is the easy stuff, right? But how do you be thankful when things don't go your way? When, I mean, in all these instances that I've just talked about, I'm the center, I'm the director of the show, I'm the CEO. I'm deciding what I want to happen. And when it happens, I'm happy. What happens when the drama in life disappoints? Can we be thankful for that? Yes, I mean, I can. I'll speak for myself. I've learned the secret here, and I've spoken about it before, maybe. It's just a tremendous thing that changed my life. I call that the other stuff overt thankfulness, and then there's the covert thankfulness. And the covert thankfulness has to do for me when things don't go my way. You know what I'm going to? I think? When things don't go my way, it's an open invitation for me to elevate out of the hole that I'm in. It's an invitation to feel something of power that is good for me. For example, okay, this is not a Brahmin kind of example, but this afternoon, I had the tough job of having a conversation with my hairdresser. Last weekend, I had my grandson's bar mitzvah. And what they did to my hair was embarrassing and horrible. It was like I had a rodent sitting on his shoulder, and she forgot to do a bunch of curls in the back. And the owner, I felt, did the wrong thing. He didn't take responsibility. He comes over, she calls him over because she had overblown it, and it was just a comedy of errors. And I don't know why it happened, but details don't matter. But he came over. She had a client. He dismissed her before she finished, and he didn't solve anything. So I had um, anxiety, tried to fix it myself. It never worked. But you know what? I bought the nice clothes, I put on the high heels, and I did my grandma thing. So kept going like this, you know. But the thing that emerged from today, I rehearsed what I was going to say. Now, the old me might have gone in there and rightfully, justifiably, angrily said, you didn't do the right thing. You should have made good on this. You should have let your customer, blah, 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 blah. But I would not win what I wanted. What did I want? I wanted, and I gave her a very generous tip, the one who did it, because she really worked a long time and she was trying to fix something for me. So we were fine. I wasn't rude to her. I knew I was on good ground. But he didn't do the right thing. And I don't want to lose going there because I happen to really like the place, you know, that I get my hair done when I do. And I said, what should I say? And I began by saying, I felt so badly for Yvonne, the hairdresser. It was just a comedy of errors. And I want you to know that I really tipped her very well for working so hard an extra half hour on my hair. So that was the opening. So I didn't come in attack, boom, you know? And then I segued to when she called you over and you didn't fix it for whatever reason, you're the owner and I feel badly and I really don't want to stop coming here. I love you. I love the hair. Blah, 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 blah. And I was very soft. This is not the old me at all anymore. But this comes naturally because I had time to think. I went to see. He gave me a total refund. And the little kid in me is like, yes, I won. But it was so much more than a victory. It may be a silly little story and we're so not into body consciousness, but it elevated me to a place of maturity in that moment. You know, another example, my son has 5 kids in Connecticut. And COVID, and he's got a staff of people. And oh my goodness, they can't take possession of the office. They just leased down in Grand Central. And what am I going to do? COVID became a gift to that whole family. You know why? He's still a stay-at-home dad. He runs a whole business, Zoom, and then they meet once a week, once a month. And it's a beautiful, non-cutthroat organization, placement of lawyers. It can be very, he gives everybody benefits that young parents should have, blah, blah, blah. But he's up till midnight doing homework with the kids. He's at every volleyball game. He's at the football game. He could never do that if he was commuting to Manhattan. And he is the happiest daddy I know, So I don't know what Brother Eric's going to talk about, and I'm inviting him to come down and join us. Hello. But this is what I thought of when I saw the topic tonight, because it has impacted my life in ways big and small. And so take that with you and think about, how I can take anything that happens. Even I talked about the accident I had and how I found out I had more courage than I ever knew I could. And I just took my gauze and my bandages and went up to Peace Village, where I'm going this weekend. I love that place. If you ever have a chance, we're closing for the season. I think this is the last weekend for public retreats. But come the spring, if you have a chance to go up, I'll take it. Okay, so without further ado, hi, thank you. Okay.
Appreciate the introductions and the setup and the stories, and your hair looks great, and sorts of things like that. So good, and thank you all for coming. Thanks for coming in person. Thanks for coming on Zoom. Thanks for showing interest in this month of gratitude. So being grateful, have had a few thoughts about the topic, firmly thankful. Part of that is connected to the retreat this weekend. I'll be going up there, and it's the fire inside, and has to do with some energy we call anger. And it's always a choice. But want to see if we can try something to enter into this conversation. And there were a couple clues and hints about things that we could be thankful for in our lives. But I want you to see if you can pick 3 things. Could be today, could be this year, could be in your life. But just see if there's an issue, a person, a situation, a thing that you're thankful for. Do that? Just a minute. See if you can come up with 3 things. Can make a list for the rest of the month of all these things, but look at those 3 things and see if there's any kind of theme or connection or virtue or quality or experience when you think of those. You understand that question? What might bring them together? What holds them together? What are some of the feelings, qualities that you experience when you have those thoughts about the things that you're thankful for? Any thoughts about that? Any responses to that? All right. Well, I will put words in your mouth. Joy. Okay. When you're thankful for something, there's this, I've received, there's a joy. What else comes along with that? You would typically receive something or something has happened. It's beneficial. So there's joy, security, and family. And what's a quality that holds a family together? Love. Yeah. Love is there. Joy is there. And if you receive something and you're happy with it, it's sometimes there's a resolution or a kind of a comma, not necessarily an end. And what happens when you get something that you might have wanted or are happy for, joyful for? It's a sign of love. Oftentimes we have relaxed or there's peace. And so I want to see if those three elements kind of support the quality of thankfulness and gratitude, joy, love, peace. And part of that is that that's a nice way to see ourselves, that we have those natural qualities. So when something happens and we're grateful, we're happy, we're joyful, it just kind of flows through us, doesn't it? It just kind of surfaces or theirs or want to offer that that's how we can be. And we'll play a little with that, but you heard in the preamble or the what Sister Louise was saying, to be thankful for lots of different things, even though it might not be so easy. And so if we're thankful for whatever's happening, we can manage that, then we kind of have access to those three qualities, don't we? I can be thankful, I can be peaceful, I can be joyful, and I can be loveful. And so part of what we're going to talk about is practicing that firm activity. Can I be thankful and move into it, not just when it comes my way, but kind of a choice? And this weekend, we're going to talk about choice and how we manage things, but I want to introduce that concept of healing and going to look at it first from the point of the physical body. Because you've all bumped yourself or cut yourself or burnt yourself or had owies, right? Something has happened. Cut's the easiest one to think about. How many of you have not? Because this you aren't raising your hand, so I'll ask the questions in the right way. How many of you have not cut yourself? Okay, so I'm assuming everybody, it's a lot of work to put your hand up these days. I know it's cold outside. So yeah, actually, if you want to flap your arms, keep yourself warm, that's fine too. But if you've cut yourself, there's a mechanism that exists. I don't know what you call it. Healing is the term. But the physical body has some way and mechanism and system that if you cut yourself and kind of leave it alone, cover it up, forget about it for a couple of days, what happens in a couple of days after you allow the body to do what it's supposed to do? It heals. It kind of comes back to the way it's supposed to be. There's a system about that. And you get a notice from your body that you have to heal something when it hurts. When you get cut, you get pain. You know, and then that's kind of a signal, an alarm to do something. Cover it, fix it, clean it, wash it, whatever you have to do for whatever it is. So there's mechanisms that allow you to know that you have to do something. You cover it or leave it alone. Sometimes is all you have to do. And there's a mechanism for healing, natural. Don't have to do anything. That's just bringing it back to the way we can be. That system makes us whole, makes us complete, makes us the way we should be. Okay. We shouldn't be walking around with cuts and all sorts of things all the time. And want to see if that makes some sense that that works on our spiritual level also. that there's a system, there's a mechanism, there's an alarm, there's all sorts of ways that kind of remind us that something has happened. We need to repair it. And part of that is the energy that comes that oftentimes in this retreat is going to be about anger that we feel we don't always know what to do with, and we have habits of using it inappropriately. Okay. It would make no sense to me that if you have a cut, that you would kind of look at it and open at it, poke at it, and continue to, you know, be irritated by that. It wouldn't heal, would it? It would get worse. It would grow. So to think that if I continue playing with it or thinking about it or looking at it or irritating it, that something is going to change, I'm interfering with that process. But when we are living our lives, not everything always goes the way we want. Does that make sense? And again, you've all had that experience. You don't have to raise your hands. You won't raise your hands anyway. And when you start to think of it, that's an energy that comes for us to heal or get back to our wholeness, that we receive something. And a lot of times when, walking along and somebody says something to us, we are moved out of the way we can be, or the way we should be, joy, peaceful, happiness. And we get this energy and we call it anger. Have you ever been angry? How many have not been angry? That's the easiest one. Okay. And you understand what that feeling is, but it is a couple different things that comes to us, and we play with it in a couple different ways because anger is there, and sometimes we express it externally. The typical modes of expressing. We hit things, we yell at things. You've seen, and the mirror probably, and others who are expressing anger externally. It's an energy, but it doesn't really help much, does it? And then there are others who don't blame somebody else, but they blame themselves, and they turn anger inside. Depressed, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do this? And such. And there are behaviors that indicate that anger, that energy has been held on to and are damaging. If you express it sometimes, oftentimes, most times externally, it's not very helpful. And if you do something and I do something, then it escalates and then somebody gets shot, typically, often. And so there's both ways of managing that healing energy spiritually when something happens. But it is actually there to give us the energy to act appropriately, to bring us back to that state of peace and joy and contentment, happiness, love. And the firmly being thankful is to be able to understand how to receive the energy when something isn't right in our minds and to move through that. Term that we often assign to that as being assertive. How can I act in this moment? How can I be in this time so that I don't waste it by expelling it externally and I don't hold on to it and damage myself internally, but figure out what's the right thing to do. And I'm going to give an example that I like. It kind of shows that process. How many of you walked here tonight? Well, one walked. Too bad. How many of you were in a car? Okay, very good. Your hands are moving. All right, not frozen. I had a chance to go somewhere over the last weekend, and I tried to apply my driver's education guidance rules. Okay, that you shouldn't tailgate. Did you all hear that in your classes? You're not supposed to be right there because it's not safe. It's not a good idea. It's threatening. It's all sorts of things, but basically it's not safe. And so you have to leave a little space. How many seconds did you all learn? Between cars. 1001, 1000. Did you learn the 2-second rule? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Yeah, you're just right on somebody else's bumper. Usually. Thanks for the warning. Um, no, I was told, I learned that you should have 2 seconds in between the two cars. Okay, so they're passing a sign, you got 1001, 1002, and whatever speed you're going, that's how much distance you're supposed to have so that you can maneuver safely. And if you use that rule, if you kind of are driving that way, there's going to be space between you and the car ahead of you. And it's very easy to be driving along and saying, okay, 2 seconds. So this is my space. This is my safety cushion, right? And there's an interesting aspect because we've already claimed something that's really not there. This empty space is mine. I have a right to it. I own it. We just automatically, this is what I'm creating. I have to do this. So this is one way we can do it is my zone that I want to keep so that I can get to where I want to go, which is the purpose of me being in the car. I want to get somewhere. But if you're driving along and you have this space, what happens when you're driving in New York on the thruway at 80 miles an hour? Someone kind of, I don't know, comes right into that empty space. And we react to that. And we react to that. And so there's an energy because we are no longer in that place of natural being. We're not in a state of peace. We're not in a state of love. Something has happened and moved us off of that. There's an energy that comes, and often we call that anger. But I want you to see that as a healing energy, a stabilizing energy, a way for you to recognize that you have been moved out of the space that you are most comfortable, natural, meant to be in, peace, love, and happiness. And that you have been threatened. Your virtues, your qualities have been trespassed, and you are being given some alarms to allow you to move into a place where you will reclaim those qualities. You follow that? That make any sense? And so rather than traveling along, someone comes in front, they occupy what you call your space. All of a sudden, your feeling of cooperation, harmony, safety, peace, love, joy, all of that's been trampled. Someone has come into that. Someone has walked on that. Someone has taken that away from you. And rather than, bumping them with our car, saying, I teach you, this is it. And why did you do that? Or thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be on the road. I'm a terrible driver. This isn't good. Why are they always doing this to me? I mean, there's certain patterns that people develop. Some take this energy externally, some take it internally. Oh, what was me? But now we're going to try to be firmly grateful, thankful, and recognize exactly what happened. Something interfered with how I was seeing the qualities that I want and was manifesting, was creating around me: safety, the peace, the cooperation. We should all be driving, sensible, respect. All of that's now been violated. And I'm getting energy to bring me back to how I can be. I can heal myself, so to speak. And it's a natural process. Here's the energy to help me do something that will take me back into a space where I can feel how I work best, peace and love and joy. And so if somebody cuts me off, let me give some space. I can't trust this person so much, so I don't want to be around them so close. I don't see that. Have you ever been on the road? There was someone this past weekend coming back. I think the speed limit was 65. Everybody was going 80, and there's this white car just weaving in and out, sailing by. And it's like, whoa, I just don't want to be anywhere near that person. And so instead of getting mad or thinking whatever it would be that is unhelpful, if I'm able to have that awareness that's this is the healing energy that's coming to me. I can waste it by getting angry, or I can start to think, what can I do to get me back into that place of safety, security, comfort, interact with the others on the road with cooperation, harmony. Does that make any sense? And so, in order for us to be able to do something like that, it doesn't come easily. Whenever we have a thought or a desire or an expectation, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. But we do have these things. I'd like people to come here safely. I hope you all get home safely. That's kind of how I'm thinking about that issue now. Is that an expectation which is going to cause me sorrow? Not necessarily, but it is a wish and a hope for this. But we do have to look forward. We have to make some decisions. We have to think about what we want. And when it doesn't happen, that healing energy comes. And if we don't practice how to manage that, then we have what we call here our habits, our patterns, our sanskars, our ways of being that will kick in at that instant. And so lots of people get really angry very easily. Do you know anybody? None of you are that way, I'm sure. But do you know anybody who, whatever happens, they just are ready to explode all the time? Uh, just has this, and there are others that take the energy we call anger and hold on to it. Oh, and just two aspects like that. That makes sense. And so those are practiced routines. We've learned those. We've learned how to react to the spiritual healing energy and misuse it. And part of the practice for me and what I find interesting is that if I start to stabilize, if I start to become firm in how I want to see myself and how I want to see myself in a situation and how I can be, and I practice that, then I will not waste it being externally or internally angry. And I will say, well, what can I do at this moment that is going to allow me to take the next step, that is going to allow me to claim the qualities that I want to be with. And as we practice, as we get better with that, then it's a natural process. This is happening. This is what's going on. You said this, somebody cut me off, whatever it's going to be. What do I want to do at that moment? I want to restore my well-being. I want to be healed. I want to bring myself back to that state. And I've got the natural system to give me the energy to do an action to get there. That follow? Is that kind of okay? Does that make some sense? I think it's quite fascinating to look at anger that way. No, no, no. Once the words leave, then they're kind of out there and they run around on their own. I don't know. You mean the whole half hour of from the beginning? Yeah, I don't remember that. Does anybody else remember what I said? I just see, I'm talking, I'm not listening. Yeah, so it is a practiced way of knowing how to heal yourself. Have you ever been around I don't know if the girls do the same thing, but little boys who kind of get their scabs and look at things, just what's going on. And they've been told, don't do that. Why have they been told not to do it? Because it won't heal. Okay, so you can't mess around with that process. And when you start to see that there's an energy that comes that needs to be managed, that's the energy that if we practice bringing ourselves to how we're meant to be and the qualities that we want, that's what we will get good at. And so we're not going to get angry externally. We're not going to get upset, but we're going to say, hey, this is a situation where there's no longer the, security that I was looking for. That car example. So what can I do with what's been happening that's going to allow me to move? Because you do get a reaction. You do get an energy. You do get some sort of something when it's not going the way you want. Or another way of looking at that, when your natural state is tampered with. Question, comment? Um, some people, yeah, they're just interested and they, play or whatever it is. But it interferes with the process of healing. And we have habits that interfere with our natural, resolution of coming back. For example, something doesn't happen. And have you ever had a friend or an acquaintance who keeps talking about that? Okay, it's come, it's over, but they keep continuing to poke at that issue and it doesn't heal. And so they talk about it and it gets bigger and it continues and they don't get back to their peace and their love, that type of a, do you see the connection? Um, something on the body and something in the mind. That if you keep poking at an issue, why did she say this? I don't know why she said that. She always says this. It's not very nice. No, 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 no. I don't know if you know anybody who's ever had that kind of a conversation with you, but it's really hard to for me to listen to because it's not going anywhere. It's draining for both of us. It's not going to resolve anything, and it is just making something minor, in my opinion, into something that is spreading a disease. Did that answer? Did that help at all? I don't remember. They probably weren't the same thing, but trying to say it a couple different ways. So that sense that if I want to be thankful with gratitude, which is supported by the peace, the love, the joy, the contentment. Those are, I kind of like to see those as threads that kind of are a basket that hold the other qualities in them, if you can visualize them. And if we want those, then we see that as our natural state. That's what's possible. And that anything that we put our mind out that we want and it doesn't happen, we're going to get an energy to be able to act and respond and move through that situation so we can figure out a way to get back to that place. And the place isn't, in my mind, static. It's not like, okay, let me just sit here and be peaceful and joyful and not do anything. But it is a flowing energy. And so things will come, we'll see things, it's not going to happen. And I'm going to start to see that this situation isn't bringing me those qualities. Well, what can I do about it? How can I think about it? How can I change what I'm involved with? And so in that aspect, that's a part of what I wanted to do tonight, is to have that awareness that we need to practice. We need to be able to have the ability to somehow create the space or the automatic response that when something happens, instead of just emoting the energy and wasting it, that we're able to say, hey, here's something that allows me to figure out how to respond, how to negotiate, whatever else has to happen in an action so that I can get back to that state. Does that make some sense? Are you okay with that? Okay, I think so. Yep. So that process isn't theoretical. It is, you're going to find regularly, daily, typically stuff that you aren't completely happy with. And so it is up to us to use the spiritual healing, energetic gift process to do something with in an action to move out of that, to resolve that, to understand it, and do something for ourselves that's going to bring us back to that state of thankfulness. Are there other questions or comments or thoughts about what's been said? Does it follow? Because it's a huge, in my mind, transformation of how we look at ourselves and how we interact with the situations in our life. Because we can be very, very upset. Why this is happening? Why is this happening? All these things. And that process of thinking isn't very useful. But what is useful is, you know, what this person said or what this person did or what's happening in the world or whatever is going on is making me feel. And I want to use that energy of the feeling to act in a way so that I can move out of that space. Okay. And it's always a nice question. What can I actually do in this moment? And, you know, there's lots of situations that I'm not personally happy about, but I can't do anything about it. So part of it is to, you know, see if there is something that I can do. And if I can't, then I have to be able to change my mindset so that I don't hurt myself. And when we start to have anger or hatred or dislike or such, those are harmful thoughts for the self. They aren't the basis of being grateful. They aren't the basis of our nature. And so when we start thinking contrary, we're actually harming ourselves. Your body's supposed to be in a certain way and supposed to do certain things. But if you bend it the wrong way, it's not going to be good. And I think one of the biggest, it's not a disease per se, but they say one of the problems in our culture is we sit too much. And then that affects the body and affects lots of different things that, you know, get up and play. I was really surprised that they were advertising on, must have been some cartoons or something like that, for kids to go out and play. Play 60, I think it was called. How bizarre is that? Because the kids weren't going out. They were watching TV or on their gadgets or whatever. So they had to advertise to play. My days. Anyway, but that tangent is actually, we need to be able to do something, use that energy and do something that will move us out of space where the thinking is going to trap us into a pattern that is not natural to the way we're meant to be. And the way we're meant to be is where we started here. Think of something that you're grateful for. What are the connection of some of those qualities? It's underlying them. And then who we are and how we'd like to be and how we can figure out how to use a response to any situation to get us back to that peace, the love, the joy. Thankful. And anything, if you play this game, you can be thankful for. You know, sometimes you can be thankful for, you know, not what you get, but what you don't get. And when we have this understanding that if I start looking for something to appreciate, to understand, I'm going to find it. You are going to find what you are looking for. If you look for anger and fear and hatred and look for, you're going to find that. I was on this trip and was listening, and wonderful example. I hit the search button on the AM oftentimes. Oh, I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to listen to that. You know, different things come up. Wild world. But there was an individual who was talking about consciousness and awareness. And she said she wouldn't have believed it if it didn't happen to her. She was driving on a road in country with her husband, and they were driving, and she noticed a really gaudy house painted very weird colors. And as she drove along and they passed, she said to her husband, "What did you think of that?" She was thinking of the house. And he said, "That tree should be cut down." Says, "What tree?" Said, "Didn't you see that tree? That big, you know?" Says, "No, I didn't." So what did you think about the house? What house? Didn't see the house. And so she was saying they drove back and she pointed out the house and he said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that is a weird house." And he pointed out the tree and she said, "Oh yeah, that tree should be cut down." Neither one saw both until it was pointed out, because what they had practiced seeing is what catches their attention. And it is so true that when we start to look for something, that's kind of the filter, the lens that we see, and we tend to find it. However, we're going to want to look and see things, we're going to be able to find it. So it makes for an interesting question. What do you want and what do you look for? And can you look for being grateful, thankful, peaceful? You will find that. You will get better at that. That will be your natural default. So when something isn't that way, you won't get upset, but you'll figure out how to manage that situation with the energy that comes to spiritually heal. And you're going to be able to maneuver easily rather than getting tripped up or caught up or limited or wasting that. Does that sound like something you would want to do? Practice being thankful, being firm in how you look at things and how you stabilize yourself, being firm on this is how I want to be, so that whatever happens, you're going to be able to manage that, get back to that place, and continue to make the choice to not only choose to see those things, but become those things. When you become those things, kind of a pillar of peace and happiness and joy, how much that can be an influence in your life and in others and in relationships. That's kind of the intent of firmly thankful this month of gratitude. So any thoughts? We have a microphone. Sorry, those on Zoom. Hope you're all okay. Thoughts, comments about your being thankful. Anything pop into your mind? This would be a chance. Strong?
Um, uh, so just to go with your traffic metaphor, when somebody cuts you off, you know, and you are just going along with the rules, and can't we all just do what I want?
Yep.
So what I do when that happens, I call
Okay.
Then I feel much better and then I'm like, okay.
All right. Well, you were able to decide that this is the action to take that's going to make you feel better. Okay, and it does. I have a free travel advisory. Okay. Um, one of the things that helps me in how I act on the road is that I think that everybody that I'm traveling has a gun in the car. So I try not to be too aggressive, try not to be too threatening, try not to be in any kind of competition situation. So if they're going to cut in, um, a horn might make me feel better, but it also might trigger somebody else. And I don't want to deal with that. So I'm very cautious about these things. So I'm hoping the horn honking is very helpful. But horn honking is a little like uh, shouting at people also. And you might feel good about that, but what's actually going on in between in the relationship? Does that make sense? Yeah, so that if somebody, bumps you or says something or just kind of irritates you in a comment, um, would honking your horn at them or shouting at them about that be beneficial in the relationship? Okay, because when you're seeing the person, it's one thing. In the car, we're pretty much think we're autonomous. Nobody knows us, nobody sees us, so we can kind of do things. But it is different when you're with someone. I learned a wonderful lesson walking on 34th Street one day. I used to take the train into the city and was walking along and real crowded, people going both rush hour. And there was a young couple behind me. We were walking along and, kind of trying to find our way. And somebody bumped into him. He was kind of a macho guy. And he turned around and said, I need to tell him what I think. And his girlfriend said, come on, you can't pick a fight with everybody you bump into in Manhattan. Let's go. So it was just, just let it slide sometimes. It was very, very funny to me. She just, come on, just, what are you doing? This, you're going to bump into lots of people. There's going to be lots of stuff that happens in your life that's going to jostle you and move you out of, why they do this, what they say that, what's happened here, whatever's going on. But bring yourself back. See if you can just stabilize without worrying about having someone understand you. Okay. Because that's kind of why we honk our horn. I want you to know that you have upset me. And I feel better by letting you know that now that you've heard me. But you never know who you're talking to.
He may take out a gun, right?
It's
What?
yeah, okay. Okay. I'm kind of assuming
No,
that you don't have one, but see how that goes.
but as you're talking,
Sure.
there's a whole male-female thing that's brewing in me the past couple of minutes since you spoke and you answered. Women think they can get away with this stuff because they're not, no man is gonna come out of a car and say, you want to fight with a woman? And all I'm thinking of, the comfort I feel in being a woman when I get annoyed, you know? But men will slug you, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'd be careful making with that assumption, but
Yeah.
we'll see what you
So
can do.
do we have so what stops us from doing that? I mean, why don't we do this easily? Why doesn't it come naturally to go back to stabilize ourselves? What is it inside? I know we're running late, right?
No, we're
We're good?
good.
I'm sitting here thinking, what stops me?
Stops you from
From doing all the thing, like what I did today with the hairdresser, what you're talking about. Why is that not our default mechanism? You have something? Wait, Zoom wants to
Yeah.
hear you.
Default mechanism is to react in maybe not anger, but like,
It's,
Here-
it's a learned behavior. Territory. Could be. Yeah,
I think it's ego.
okay.
We're really raised, like in my house, you had to win. You had to say the smartest thing and you had to be, I think it's ego. I think ego is the enemy.
I mean, I'm not gonna, they all are good answers, ego or territory, or I think it's a habit that you learn what is happening and how to express that. And it becomes a second nature, it becomes natural. And all of a sudden, then that's how we see, how we use that. Sure.
So going forward with that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's good?
Yep.
Okay, so going forward with that analogy, uh, in this proverbial situation, I'm kind of horn. It's probably not good to go like honking horn at every single person that cuts you off, right?
Yes.
For some reason. It's probably also not beneficial to be all the way on the other end of the spectrum, to never stand up with, or to never let other people be known that you are a person that deserves a certain level of respect.
Yep.
And I imagine on that spectrum for everybody, that line when you stand up with someone, the way you let it slide, is individual. Some would be 8 out of 10, 2 out of 10. How do you work to determine what the right mix, what the right combination is for you?
Yeah. We're individuals. There is no right in that sense.
Well,
The-
there's a right for you, right?
Ye-
There's no universal.
Correct.
How do we find that?
And the honking is a communication. And if it's done in the right way, it can be appreciated. I appreciate when, I'm not seeing someone and they honk and it's like, oh, I should stay in my lane. I wasn't trying to do anything, but that communication and warning, because that's kind of what it is. It's a warning. In my mind, it's more of a warning to talk with others about how we can be safe. And so it's beneficial that way. I don't think it's advantageous to use it as an expression of my feelings. If you can understand the difference of those two things. You cut me off. That's not very helpful. But I'll give a little example. How many of you have ever grocery shopped in the neighborhood here? Shop Delight. Okay. If you know the grocery store over there, they've got angled parking. And so you to get in and get out, you have to back up. And to back up into oncoming traffic is dangerous. And so there are people who will stop and someone will back up so that they can be safe. But the people behind them can't always see that. So they feel that they're stopped and they're stuck. And so sometimes they honk the horn to say, hey, watch out, I'm here. It's kind of a warning. It's a communication. It's a kindness. We don't want to be in an accident. I'm letting you know I'm here. But the people back here, it's an anger. Why are you stopping? What's going on? I have to get through. So the process on how you decide is very situational. And how do I want to communicate and what do I want to share? And if you have nothing to do and you like the sound of horn honking, you just go over there on a Friday afternoon or a Thursday night.
Are we gonna tell them about India?
No.
I have to.
Okay.
I was amazed. I went to India and the honking is deafening. And it took me about a week to realize what was really going on. It's so apropos. They drive very fast, but it's a poor country. There are no traffic lights, there are no stop signs, but every driver of any vehicle at all is honking mercilessly, but it's not anger. It's not America.
Here I am, I'm coming
It's a
through.
beautiful courtesy. Yeah, here I am. And I am letting you know that I'm letting you in. And it's like, it was like a ballet to me. And I was awed by it. I went from looking at the sights to looking at the drivers. And I watched a guy cross 3 lanes and everybody stopped and let him. It was just the most amazing thing to me. You're used to it, I know, but it was
Yeah.
my first time
No,
in
it's,
India.
it's,
It's
I
incredible.
notice, here I am, Hong Kong, here I am, Hong Kong, I'm coming in, Hong Kong. Everybody's here. It's just me, look out,
Noise.
careful. Very noisy. Yeah.
Are completely the opposite and actually witnessed a video of India and a woman who's trying to cross the street in the south of India, which is different from the north. Maybe you were in the north. And in the south of India, again, there's no sidewalks. People just make their own rules on the road. And it was like, you're taking a life into your hands when you're on the street. It was a woman with like, something on her, she had like a basket with fruits or vegetables on her head, crossing the street, holding like tons of things in her hand, and there were motorcyclists coming like mobs of people. Nobody would stop for this lady in the video. I couldn't get over it.
I hope she got home finally.
Right.
See how that goes.
But I wanted to just say really quickly that I also honk safety, and now I just recently repaired my auto. Somebody's completely sideswiped me. It was completely innocent. We were trying to get out of the way of an ambulance. But my gut reaction now after getting my car back is anytime I go on the street and I'm on the right lane, especially in the streets here, where they park and they open up the door completely. I will either, if it's nighttime, I will turn on my headlights as a warning, or I will blow my horn. And just to let them know, I'm coming.
Very good. So on that, I would like you all to be able to get home safely tonight. So turn your lights on, however it's going to be. But if it's okay, we're going to conclude and a little like we began. And so I want you to have that thought of a couple things, if you can, 3 things that you are thankful for. That you have some gratitude. See if you can picture the person, situation, the thing happening, and bring those to mind. And now look a little deeper at the 3 of them and see underlying themes, threads that connect them. Recognize that when we're thankful, we're appreciative, we receive something, and we feel the love in that process. We're thankful and full of gratitude. Something has happened. There's been a resolution. And we're peaceful. And when there's gratitude and we're thankful, we've received something and we're happy. There's joy. So allow those 3 qualities that are natural to us to dominate your mind and become firm in that thought. That right now I'm full of joy, peace, and love. And may you have many things to be thankful for the rest of the day, rest of the week, rest of the month, rest of the year, rest of your life. Use the healing energy, spirit. spiritual self well. Shanti, thanks for coming.
Oh,
Drill.
Shanti, wait a second. Wait a minute. You in a rush? I just want to say that for me, a good way to start is to the old, don't react, respond. And that gives me time to, do exactly what Brother Eric has shared with us tonight. Yeah, so it's a little starting point, I think. Next week, we have our panel. And the week after is Thanksgiving, so we will not be meeting Thanksgiving. We don't have a session. And then we'll see you the week after. Thanks for coming this evening. Om Shanti, Brother Eric, thank you so much. We have a little Tolian blessing. Don't leave without your little sweet, okay?